Hello, I'm here. It is time to go live and make some crafty stuff today, and I still don't know what I'm going to do yet. And we'll probably do some junk journal July. I'm going to show you here over on Instagram. Another thing something I always love to do, just jump over to my Instagram, jump over to my saved, look at the prompts that I have saved. This is where I save all the monthly prompts. Junk journal July. Today is the 23rd, so today's prompt is negative space. So cool. Oh, okay, the first problem is I have to find my junk journal. Oh, there it is. It's so funny because all my journals are junk journals, but this is my specific one. And last week, or whenever I did it last time, I did, we did some collage clusters, which was so funny because I had just done the sewing. And so I did these collage clusters. I think that might have been on Tuesday, maybe, on the Instagram one. So I thought those are kind of pretty. I haven't put them actually in my journal yet, but they were kind of fun. And then I wanted to talk really quickly again about my journal play prompts, which if you are in my newsletter or you join my newsletter, you can get, this is a nice pretty list. This is the list that I have been using. I'm putting them on my cards for my index card a day. So, but I wanted to show what it kind of looks like new and pretty once you print it out. And I actually printed this one on slightly heavier paper this time. So I thought that would be kind of nice to have. It's nice to have one that's kind of in good condition to see where you're going. And then this is the one. I'm so tempted to just cut them all apart, but I think I'll lose them if I do that. So I'm gonna not cut them apart until I'm putting them on a card yet. So that's my plan for those. But I realized the other day when I was talking about it, I was like, yeah, this is what you get. And then I was like, no, this is not what you get. So you might want to look at the nice one that I have made already done of what you get. Okay. So negative space. Okay. I'm not very good at, okay. This is a challenge. I'm going to say it that way. It's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for me to have negative space. Quilting in the quilt world, in the modern quilt world, negative space is actually a really common thing. Because in the modern quilt world, we design things with a more, I would say, more contemporary or modern art kind of aesthetic, where we have a lot more graphic, and then there is negative space. And then the negative space allows you to go back with the quilting and actually add in some interesting design. So what we could do is work from that perspective, but instead of actually quilting the stitches, we can do it with like a white Posca pen or a black pen or something that we can do some doodles in there later. Okay, you said cut them up and put them in a jar. I would do that, the prompts, but what I'm doing is I'm actually adding them to my index card every day. So what I'm going to do is I'll have these cards. Here's another one. And I'll just be able to pull the cards out of a box. It's a little bit bigger. That's actually not one of the prompts, but it's a good one. It's a little bit bigger of something to grab. And I have to go back and add the ones from, add to the ones from the beginning, from June, because I didn't start doing that until July. But I like that's exactly the plan, is to put them in somewhere. See, there's another one, gel printing, and then to go back and be able to pull them out of a box. Now it's gonna have to be a big box because these guys are pretty thick. So but I like them. I love them. I might even just put them on a ring. I could just put them on a ring and then just randomly like pull one out or something like that, or two. I love doing journal play. Once I get all those cards done, I'll be able to do it. Okay, so let's talk about how we would do some negative space. I think a good way to do negative space also is to do stenciling. because stenciling, you have to look at the negative space. That's literally negative space. The stencil is either, well, it's either the negative or the positive. So, let me get some stencils here. I'm trying to think. Okay. So, I love this one. This is one of Dina's. Trying to think if I have her other ones. I mean, I know I have her other ones. Sorry, I have to dig around. Here's a good example of a negative space, I think, because this is something that I made in a class, and we were doing it for gel printing on fabric, and then so it literally gives you the negative space. I don't really know the exact term. I don't know which one is technically the negative side. So you could say your negative space is the part that's not being covered in, or the part that is being colored in. So when you put it on a stencil like this, the part that gets colored in is going to be that open area. Now, if you were using a mask, that would be a little different, because a mask would be going the other way. I have those somewhere. Here's the other ones. I mean, I feel like this is a mask, even though, I mean, literally it looks like a face, but, yeah, okay. So the negative space is, the part that, like, would really be the part that is the stencil, but you can use that. Like, you can actually, and you could do it with paint, or you could do it with spray. So I think I want to try using some spray. I'm going to use some Ocean for Dina. Some Dina Ocean. Today's going to be Dina Day. I love this giant ink pad, by the way. Isn't it so cool? Okay. So when you spray, you will get, and I'm going to do it over my paper, which I know is a mess, but okay. So what you might do is you might actually put, I'm not going to do it over my paper, I lied. You might actually put something underneath. This isn't the best example, but it'll work. Like a piece of paper, right? Because you want to get, when you spray, you want to get, you want the design that you're in the stencil to come through. So that, hi Mr. Whiskers, that would probably be that would be considered the positive space. Now, spray is a little tricky. You might not pull out the best impression, but yeah. So there we go. So the negative is the space that's in between those that design. That's how I view negative space. Okay. So what I might do is take my juicy stencil, if I was going to do something with negative space. This is very messy. This is very juicy. Okay. I'm going to take what I have here and I'm going to flip it over onto my page. And then it's going to only make an impression or make a design where there is paint, which is on the negative side of that stencil. So that's how I view negative space, okay? That's my interpretation. I'm not an art teacher. I'm not an expert. I'm just, this is me coming from in the quilt world that's pretty much how we would view it. Okay, let's see if it works, because this is a juicy stencil, juicy paint. Let me see. I'm gonna get my gloves because otherwise I'm gonna end up covered in paint. This might not work, but this is my interpretation of negative space. Good morning to everybody who has joined. I'm happy to see you here. Okay, let's see. Hopefully, maybe you can stay on long enough to see what happens. And then, like I said, it could be completely wrong. Could be completely bad. Okay, so I'm going to take my rag here. I'm going to use it to push it down. And I'm using that because I know that paint is going to probably come in between those spaces, okay? Let me see if it works. Okay, ready? Ooh, moment of truth. 1, 2. Yeah. See? Negative space. All of that space in between where the stencil is. That is what I would call negative space. It's pretty cool. And you know, a lot of times I'm working really quickly, and I like to work with the idea that I'm going to use every little bit of ink or paint or anything that's on what I'm working on. So that's the way I try to operate. Like, I don't, if I spray a stencil here, I have another page somewhere that I'm going to wipe it off, push it off onto. I'm going to try to get that negative thing. If I'm working on a gel plate, you can do the same idea. You get what you can do on a gel plate. Let me show you. It's the same exact idea, except that it's a little bit, I would say it's a little more, I don't know, stable. I guess if you use acrylic paint. Oh, I love my gel plate. Okay, so this is a 5x7 gel plate. It's yellow because I use alcohol inks on it, and alcohol inks can stain your gel plate. But it doesn't hurt anything. It's just stained. Okay, so what you might do for negative space, I'll look this up because as much as I say I like to use every little bit, and it goes on the cloth, and guess what? This cloth is going to be used for something later. So, okay. So for paint, I'm going to grab some white, titanium white, a little bit. Okay. This is just titanium white. I'm running out, so I grabbed some from the store. Yay! And then, where's my brayer? Shoot. My brayer is usually like right here. Usually it's hanging up. Darn it. Okay, so that's okay. I have another brayer, but I usually have my little one. Okay, so what I would do is I'm going to actually brayer this out onto the, usually have my little Dino, my little one that's perfect, but this has some funny things on it, so it's going to give you a weird impression. Okay, so always got to wipe off that paint. I always have, that's why I like having this paper underneath. You can have a wipe off journal or a what I call the Mop Up Journal, which I've heard that, I think Niam Bailey calls it that. I've heard it called that somewhere. And she literally has another book that she uses to just wipe off her paint. Okay, I can't do too much because this will disappear. Okay, so, or it'll get too dry. So what you can do is you put the stencil down, right? White probably wasn't the best example, but it'll work because and then you do the first layer of print, which would be the positive space. And see, it's not going to show a whole lot, right? Because it's white and it's on a whatever background. But then your negative is going to be that part like that. So you have some paint on your stencil. You could take it over to your book. I don't think where I am, the paint always dries out really fast. So I don't think there's actually going to get much of an impression here. Yeah, it really didn't come off. It pretty much dried. It may already be dry on the paper on here. So we have a really good impression here of a negative space, right? how wet that is. I don't think it's very wet. Okay, good. So this is what happens with gel plates. When it dries out like this, all you need to do is grab another color. And I really wish I could find my little brayer. Darn it, y'all. Y'all, my Texas is showing. Because you know what? It's like the perfect, that little brayer is so perfect. And I don't, oh, got paint everywhere. Oh, there it is. I did put it where I thought it should be. Just put it in a different hook. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of different paint on here. And the different paint is going to show up through the part where we took paint off earlier, which is the white. Or the positive side of the stencil. I'm sure there's another term for that. And ideally, if this works right, you don't have a hair in your, at least it's not a cat hair this time. It's just an Anna hair. Ideally, what will happen is it will print, it'll pull the white up, because I think what happens is this. Acrylic paint is basically plastic, and plastic can tend to stick to plastic, right? So, I mean, just say yes, okay? So plastic will stick to plastic. So what you do is when you pull this up, it's going to pull the white, and it's going to show white as the negative space, and it'll show pink as the positive image. Maybe I should really learn what the technical terms are for all of these things. Trying to decide if I'm going to try to do this in my junk journal, which you can do, because your gel plate is kind of like a giant stamp. And if you were using the smaller one, the 3x5, it would be even more like a stamp. So let's have fun here and see. The only thing is you can't really like push down on the paper very well if you're going to do it like this. So results may vary. If you're doing a paper on top of this and you're pushing down on the paper, you're probably going to have a much better result. Okay, so I'm just prefacing this with that. Okay, I know when I can do that. Oops, I don't drop it. You can already see a little bit. Can you really see it? I don't know if y'all can see it, but I think I have an idea of what I can do. I'm going to push this down like this, but I'll put my page over. Yes, you can gel print directly into your book. And you may have varying results. We'll see what we get. Okay, so basically this just pulled up the pink, which is fine. I kind of thought that would happen because I put the pink down pretty thick. Let's try it again. I'm not deterred by that. I'll try it over here. We'll just keep doing it until we get something, okay? How about that? I still like the way the stencil looked though. That's pretty cool. Came out pretty cool in the stencil. So there we go. Yeah, oops. So it came out pretty good. I see there's some negative space here. You can see where the a little bit where the pink is and the white. So that's a pretty good example of negative space also. You can also just go back here, and I would maybe put this stencil back down. And just having some fun. Right. Feel free to chime in if y'all have any suggestions or ideas. So there we go. Now we have some negative space in between there. I know that there are stencils, so like a silhouette stencil. I feel like a stencil with a silhouette, which I do have one somewhere, is one of Dina's more recent releases, was a good example of the negative space. Okay. So there's some negative space for you, and I'm gonna find, this will probably stick. It's like, oh, I really liked how this looked on that, how that watery, it kind of looked watery, which is really fun. In my book, let me see if I can find another page. Well, gee, let me see if I can find another junk journal somewhere, or journal. I started using this one as my mop-up journal just because I thought, you know, it's this might not give me the same watery look just because this is very gel. This has a lot of gel medium on it. But I started using this as my mop-up journal because I don't like always working on a blank page. So this way, if you just grab a journal, this is a handmade journal. I put this together myself, and it's just watercolor paper that I stitched into signatures and put it in a cover. And yeah, that's just kind of a mess of blue. That's okay. Like I said, it wasn't going to make an impression because of it's not really it's got all that gel medium on there, but that's okay. Still looks pretty cool. Like I could do it like this. It's just gonna soak in a lot better. See, this is where I just clean off my brushes, clean off my stencils. Sometimes the best impressions that you get are the negative space ones from the stencil. So sometimes. This is kind of neat how it's kind of soaked in and bled a little bit in between the lines. I thought that's kind of cool. Still a puddle though. I do love that patty paper. It is so awesome. So fun. All right, so any questions about negative space, let me know. Put them in the comments. Even if you come back later and you have a question, you can always comment or just message me and I'll see if I can talk more about negative space. So I'm just going off of what they would do, how the quilting world kind of interprets it. What I like about the quilting world is that negative space is perfect opportunity for quilting. And I don't know, in more traditional designs, you tend to have the same block of a design, like the same geometric block, like a square, a circle or something, and you have it over and over and over, and there's not a lot of space in between usually. There's not like, it would be more like, I can't even come up with an example, but it would be probably more like this, where there would just be so much going on that the quilting pattern, the stitching is not really going to be seen or be noticeable. But if you have some space in between, a place for your eye to rest in that negative space, then you can go back and you can add in some, like, some doodles. This, let me see if my Posca is going to really work. Let's see. Okay, ready? Let's try it. I also have a Signo, so we can try the Signo too. I like doodling. I just don't do it very often because I forget about it. Usually it requires things to be dry to be able to do it. I don't like to wait for stuff to dry. So. We can do doodles. See how this one looks. Kind of like a spider web. Hi Sharon, how are you today? All right, I'm just doing some doodles in the negative space because today on the Junk Journal July, which is a prompt challenge over on Instagram, the challenge is negative space. which I sometimes have a problem with because I like to cover the entire page with color. So there we go, Posca, and Posca's acrylic pen, right? Signo is just a plain, it's pigment ink, so it's gonna last a little bit. It's gonna be, it'll sit on top of the color better. Sometimes you can get a white pen and it just dissolves into the color because either the color is too strong or the pigment in the paint isn't very bright or something like that, because white can be very, it can be transparent. So yep, so there we go. There's some design, there's some negative space. I did that with my stencil. That's what I think, like, again, I think of, well, that's good, I'm glad you're alive. That is always positive. When I think of negative space, that's the first thing my mind says, okay, let's do a stencil. Yeah. I kind of want to doodle now. Following, this is a Hallmark bag. That's the joy of an ink journal. You can just take whatever you've got around you. You don't have to have special supplies, right? You don't have to have anything fancy, and you can just make a book. This book was made from a free lesson from Robin Marie, ROBENMARIE, Robin Marie. She has a free video on how to make this book if you sign up on her newsletter. And I said this earlier, but if you sign up on my newsletter, or if you're on my newsletter and you want to get this and you haven't gotten it yet, you can get the list of journal play prompts, and the sign up is in my on my Facebook page or on my Instagram, wherever you find me, on my website, peacecraftlove.com. If you join the newsletter, you will get this list of journal play prompts. If you don't do journal play, like you don't do mixed media stuff like this, and you want to do more other kind of paper crafting, you could still use this. I mean, there's a lot here that has to do with like color and adding some other elements. I'd love to hear your ideas if you have other ideas for paper crafting that you might want to, of something that you can add, and then I can make a list of other prompts to do. I keep saying I'm going to do, so that would be fine. All right, so then let me see. I have a couple more minutes to fiddle with this a little bit, because even though we have negative space, we don't have a focal point. Where's my top of my baggie? Okay. This is a package of die cuts. These are interesting die cuts because they are chipboard, so they're a little thicker, and they put some dimension in your project, which is interesting. Take my gloves off. They're from Stamperia, and their newer line called Lady Vagabond, and I like her because she's very, there's a lot of interesting elements in here, like the clock, and the books are fun, and the lady, she's interesting. She has, oh, I like the cat with the goggles. He's kind of cute, or she's cute. I can't tell if it's a girl or a boy cat. Says, the world is a book, and those who do not have to read only travel, who do not travel only read one page. Let your dreams be your compass. Oh, that's a good, I like that one. Escape the ordinary, that's always a good one. You know, here she is sitting on a, I'm sorry, I'm just mumbling to myself now. Leave the road, take the trails. Yeah, I'm not a big traveler, but that's still, I mean, obviously vagabond, that's kind of what that means, right? But yeah, these are chipboard, so they're a little thicker, and you know, that's good or bad. It's kind of up to you what you think. I think that's interesting, and so I'm going to take it as a challenge to do something, and put that in my journal. and see how I can get it to look like it belongs there. That's really the biggest thing. I like Escape the Ordinary too, you know? That one's a good one, I think. So I think what I might do is actually, this already has some nice, nice color to it because it's that creamy book page color. Also, I think I coffee dyed this a long time ago. Tea dyed or coffee dyed it. But, I kind of feel like I want to add something. So I'll probably have to put my gloves on here in a minute. So I can put a little bit of collage on here. I'm just grabbing from one of my little giblet boxes. Giblet is a term that Tiffany uses. Tiffany from, ooh, that's kind of fun. Look, what if I put this on here? And then I had the little cat. Oh, he's so small though. So yeah, Tiffany is the one who does all the giblets, but that's what I call it too. Okay, that's not really talking to me, so I think I don't know how that cat's gonna fit in here. Gonna work into this design. It's not quite, I'm not quite feeling the cat, unfortunately. I like the cat. There's no feeling him. Not really speaking to me today. All right, on the gloves go again. Y'all, I'm sorry. My book was kind of low on the screen. Sorry about that. Okay. You like that with the, I feel like these are good elements. They're just kind of small. Like, oh, nope. These are not the right colors because this is a different group. I'm just thinking of the other stuff I have on some different cards I have that I could cut out. Those are fun. Okay. I could even just cut one of these. This is also a Stamperia page. These are kind of already put together for you. This one is called Voyages Fantastiques. Made in Hungary. These are from Hungary. But I did get the whole entire Lady Vagabond line. Like, I have all the paper in a set. I didn't buy each individual paper, but I bought an entire collection set. So I think I bought it in both the larger size and the smaller size. Well, now she seems kind of big, huh? I feel like she's gonna kind of overpower my fun thing. Okay, I think I'm going back to this. I wish I could find my giblets of my I had painted a bunch of those pieces of deli paper with some little designs, and I don't have it anymore. I don't have them. I don't know what I did with them. I think I put them in ephemera packs to put in the store, so I don't have them anymore. I could probably take them out, But then y'all wouldn't be able to get them. This is what I do to just make some marks on a thing so that I can use it for collage. Not right now, obviously, because it's wet, but, you know, it's pretty easy. You just take your palette knife and some paint, squish it on there. I was doing it because I was doing some color mixing, and I was playing around with the color. And so this is called light pink. This is a nice color. But maybe I will just do some marks on here. Let's see what I'm doing. Oh, keep the circle vibe going. Okay, I got the circle vibe, right? Because I've got it in my, my negative space back here, and I've got it in this, right, in my stitching. Okay, that's a good idea. Thank you, Sharon. I love when you give me prompts. It's so fun. Okay, totally work on that. I love this. This is Prussian blue. This is a good, fun color. This is so pretty. All right, we're going to keep the circles, maybe. Maybe? Sometimes a good thing about circles is I also have, since we did stencils earlier, I have a stencil that has some dots. That would be kind of fun, right? Okay. I'm going to leave that. Oh, I really want to use this, but I don't want to cover up my... Even if I do it down here, it will actually, you'll probably be able to see those blue marks. Because we don't need to go too overboard here, right? Okay, I don't know why I ever put my gel plate away, because I always end up using it again as a palette. Oh, I have my other one sitting out here. Circle vibe. I like that. Okay. Let's put some paint on my palette over here, on my gel plate. I'm going to do some dots. So the Modern Quilt Guild has a show that they host in, this year it's going to be, or in 2022, it's going to be in Phoenix, and it's in February. And I'm so excited. I love to go. We didn't get, of course, 2021, they actually put it all on virtual. And each year they host a community outreach challenge for the quilt guilds. They give us a theme and some colors, and we have to interpret the theme, or like this year it's angles. And angles is a very interesting one. Last year was curves, so it was very different from this year. But then we figure out how we can do it as a group in our guild. And then, of course, I got paint on me. And then from there, we make a quilt, and the quilt gets donated to an organization. So then the organization can use it to raise money, or they can keep it. Usually they auction. We had one that was auctioned, and you can't really see what I'm doing. I'm trying to do that negative space thing again with my stencil down here. Clean my stencil off a little bit. It's hard to see. Just flipped my stencil over on a piece of paper, and see, there's not really a lot of ink left or paint left, but there's more from that blob, I guess. So didn't really give me much, but that's okay. Whoops. Okay. Of course, now I put paint. Now I have to wait for it to dry. mean, I don't have to wait for it to dry. I should wait for it to dry, right? I could get my heat tool that you're not supposed to use. Right. You know, I'm more of a background person. I'm not very good. When it comes to focal points, that's where I end up. I usually go, okay, I'm done. And then focal points are not my strong suit, but I'm trying. I'm using some blue for the Piececraft Love Color Challenge. Don't forget, you can still do that. You can still participate however you want. Okay, I really like this up here. This down here I don't really love, but that's okay. So. All right, now I'm gonna just, because I'm very on the fly crafter over here. Gonna grab my gel medium, throw that down on the page, and then collage down my couple of things that I've made. And then we're gonna call it a good day. Even if this paint's a little wet, that's okay. I'm just embracing it. I'm gonna just collage this whole dang thing down. I'm gonna try to. Really, the paper should actually melt into the background, so tearing it isn't really necessary, but just in case. Ooh, we got a little bit of paint on top. That's okay. That helps it to blend in, right? I knew some of that paint wasn't completely dry. Messy is my forte. I never actually collaged down a piece that has stitching on it, so I'm interested to see how that works. Okay. That's kind of cool. Some of this blue that's kind of all over the place here now. Okay, now where's my little thing? Okay, here it is. I'm gonna put this here, and actually going to use my gel medium from Tim Holtz, because this stuff is a little thicker, and this is a chipboard, and so it's kind of thick. There's definitely a difference between matte medium, multi-medium matte, and then the matte medium from Liquitex, which this is literally says on there it's fluid. It's meant to be fluid. I have gel medium from Liquitex also, if you want one that's thicker, just to start with, if you just like that. I like that this is in a bottle, and that's just because it's thinner. So, I do have little bottles, 1 ounce bottles of the multi-medium. And this guy kind of gets a little lost, but I'm not necessarily done yet. I think it looks pretty cool, but I have to stop because I've been online for too long, but the video is getting kind of long. So, but there we go. I think it's kind of fun. And we did our negative space here. We did some repeated design elements, which I really appreciate that suggestion. Thank you, Sharon. And yeah, so here we go. Yay for Junk Journal July. I post videos every week on YouTube on Saturday-ish. Usually my Tuesday live on Instagram and my Friday live on Facebook go on to YouTube, and hopefully soon it will be more videos that are not just for my lives. But if you have any suggestions for videos you want me to do, talk about things you want to ask, just let me know. I would love to talk about them. I'd love to answer your questions during a video. Yeah, so yeah, you have a great day too, Sharon. Okay, thank you, everybody. So I'll sign off now, and don't forget, if you're on my YouTube like and subscribe. Okay, bye guys.